If we're live early, let's turn the light on, center the camera. Little live jewelry making session. Right, is that centered enough? Boom. Okay guys, welcome to Robertson Co. Welcome back to London. Little live jewelry making session today. The title will probably have given this away. We need to make some Russian wedding rings. I'll give you a close up. These are going to be made from 1mm wire. So this is a 1mm halo Trinity ring. I think the Russian wedding rings, Cartier call them Trinity Rings, don't they? So that's often banded about. I think they claim to have invented the Trinity ring, but you know, it looks very similar to the Russian wedding ring. It's timeless. I think the origins of this design have been of the 3 interlocking rings, or even 2. They you know, you can trace some of its history, but they've kind of been lost. So that's what we're making. 3 interlocking rings. These are 1mm halos. So we'll just run through the procedure for making these. I'll get as far as polishing. I haven't got polishing gear here, so I'll set one of these is for a customer, one of them's for stock. As usual, we've had a run on one size. This week, all I've sold is size P Russian wedding rings. Sold out, sold more. So that's why we're making them. The general rule of thumb with Russian wedding rings, whether you're making them from 1mm, 2mm, 3mm, D or round or whatever, the general rule of thumb, the starting point is you make the individual rings 3 sizes bigger, and that's the starting point. Obviously there are exceptions at the extremes. So if you're making really small finger sizes, you probably need to go, and from really wide wire, you probably need to experiment and go bigger. And at the other end of it, if you're making really large rings in really narrow, although having said that, I do Z6 in 1mm and it still pans out. But there must be, you know, there's going to be exceptions to that rule, but that is the general rule of thumb. And we do them in 2mm and 3mm and 1.5 halo. And what generally happens if you go 3 size bigger is on a ring stick, they actually come up. So we're going to make size P today. So we need to make size S rings to make the Trinity ring, or the Russian wedding ring, a size P. But what invariably happens is they come out, even though you're making them 3 sizes bigger, they come out on a ring stick fractionally smaller than the size you want, less than a quarter of a size. But, you know, they're undersized but that works because where they roll, there's a way they interlock. There's a way you can interlock them, and they're bigger, and there's a way they interlock and they're slightly larger, but because they roll up and down the finger, they kind of roll over the knuckle, and they roll easier. They behave like a slightly narrower ring than they really are, because I mean that's 3 1mm rings, so in theory it's 3mm wide. But yeah, it's a miracle. It's a miracle they fit, but they do. It does seem they roll over the knuckle easier than a band ring of the same width. So being slightly undersized does work. I mean, they're slightly undersized on a ring stick. Obviously, each ring is 3 sizes too big, but the combination of them, they actually somehow on a slightly under the size you want, but that fits, if that makes sense. So right, we need to make P's from 1mm wire on the side. So the finished halo, the finished Russian wedding band we want will be size P. So we need to make, I'm going to make 2 of these. So we need 6 size S rings, which is about 62.5mm of 1mm wire. Let's get on the YouTube copyright free music. Let's get some Russian YouTube music on the go. Whatever YouTube, you know, considers as Russian. Let's go for the Russian. There we go. Right, YouTube's Russian playlist. going to be crazy. Right, 62.5 mils, six 1mm rings we need to make first of all. Then we cut 2 of them, interlock them, solder them again, and then what I won't do on camera is polish them, but you'll see the whole manufacturing process too. Quite a labour intensive design. So I'm just using side cutters, micro cutters to cut through this 1mm wire. Turn this down a bit. It's already getting on my nerves. Okay, cut too far. Let's clean off the edges of these. So you have to solder, like, although these are 3, we have to make 3 rings. It's effectively, each ring is 3 rings, but it's 5 soldering operations per ring. Because you have to cut 2 of them open and go again. And yeah, that should, in theory, make 2 of them smaller, but it works. Yeah, like I was saying, this is a design that's so old, its exact origins have kind of been lost. Unless you go on the Cartier website and it was invented in 1924 by them. Or their version of a Russian wedding ring with a different name. Yeah, I think over the centuries it's been adopted and unadopted by various, I would imagine, Russian churches. Russian religions, or religions, global religions in Russia. But I think for a blog post I got AI to research it, and there was no definitive where it began. No definitive answer. Because wedding rings are a relatively new phenomenon. Originally, you just got engaged, or betrothal rings were a thing. The whole setup of wedding rings and engagement rings has evolved, and the customs are different in different places as well, globally. So yeah, these probably predate wedding rings, as the design would predate wedding rings as we know them. Or their modern sort of use and interpretation. Alright, coffee. Alright, solder up these 6 size S, did I say? Halos. I'll just form them with flat half round pliers. The funny thing with these is when you're making Russian wedding rings, it's kind of better to if you're making a band ring, it's kind of better to get a slightly dodgy solder joint when you're making these, because you want it good enough to hold the ring together. You've got to form it. You don't want it so perfect that you can't see it, because it's good if you've got the little line, because we've got to saw through the solder joints, and if you nail the solder joint on these with the perfect amount of solder in it, you can't see where to saw. So this is the one style of ring that the first time you solder them, you're better off kind of bulging it up. Intentionally. But it's easier on the larger the rings are, like if you're doing 2mm Ds, it's slightly easier to under solder a 2mm D than it is a 1mm halo. With the larger ones as well, you can also play with it's often good to use different proportions, percentage proportions of D-shaped wire. So I mean, we've got draw plates that go down to 30%. It's probably, I have made them, probably a bit too. It makes a lightweight ring. It'd be fine, you know, if you want a lightweight gold ring, 30% is fine, but it's probably a bit too fine. 50% is a good sort of quite chunky ratio, but once you get above 50%, they kind of get a bit clunky. The 30% is probably better in the heavier alloys like 18 carat, you know, 30% would work okay in 18 carat. Because it's still going to be quite weighty, whereas in silver, to a lesser extent, but also 9, it feels like a lightweight ring. But there again, so that's what, you know, if you want a lightweight ring, you want a lightweight ring. Definitely work on the smaller sizes. And the size A's and B's and stuff like that, you might have a little choice. I think I have made like B's and C's. I'm not sure if I've made an A. I probably have. I forget. I don't even know what day it was today. I thought it was Wednesday. It's Thursday. I've lost the day. Every day's the same, work out and then work. Do it again. It doesn't really matter what day it is. That's why I forgot. It's my excuse. Alright, that's these 6 rings formed. Solder them up, minimal solder, because we need to cut through them and saw through them, probably with an 8/0 saw blade, because that's what I've got in the frame at the minute. But it's probably the best size to cut through these with. I need to cut some solder wire. Where is the solder wire? We're making these as the same size actually as pendants recently. Karma pendants, and the AI has gone with love knots for the interlocking ones after doing its research into karma necklaces, spiritual jewellery and love knots and Russian wedding rings and Trinity rings. It's good at coming up with the names. It's phenomenal at writing descriptions. Like that. Stuff that would take me like weeks. And I'd never be as good, even give me all the time in the world, I'd never come up with the stuff the AI comes out with. It's going to take over the world. Well, we will. Right, I'm using Argotech flux, silver flux, mixed with meths. I really need to get a new. The pink lid's bothering me. I'm guessing a previous girlfriend left that in the kitchen or something. But I didn't buy it. Some psychopath would have. We need something more manly. Although it's not a very manly job, is it? Making pretty things, but you know. I suppose they're not genders anymore. There's loads of genders now, aren't there? I've got to pick one. It's not a pink. Don't identify as a pink pot lid. Right, solder those up. Is this going to work? No. Right. I nearly forgot then. Don't do it properly. But there's a fine line. If you don't solder them well enough, they'll split. The joint will split when we're sizing it, when we're rounding them off. So you can't completely. You've got to do a reasonable job. Inspirational Russian music. Now we'll go for some French music yet. Next, there's Cartier claimed to have invented these in 1924. Or whatever version they sell as this. Right. Let's change the music while we wait for the... They'll just need a little bit of, a few seconds longer in it to clean. Right, Parisian Cafe. I'll give you a little close-up look at these. Basically, I flowed the solder, but not. I sort of stopped before. That's a good example of what you kind of want. So I basically, before the solder properly, like the joint's done, but you would normally apply the heat a little bit longer, and the solder would sort of flow along a greater length of the ring, but kind of taking the heat off probably a little bit earlier than you would if these were a finished band, just so that I can still locate the actual joint, the seam. That's another pretty good example there. Let me show you those there. The other ones. So I don't know if you can, this is 1 mil wire, so you can actually see, you can actually kind of make out where the two pieces join still, although they're soldered together. Hopefully they're soldered together well enough to be rounded off. I mean, it's quite small and lightweight metal, 1 mil sterling silver. So yeah, that's the idea, so that we can actually run the saw blade through the existing joint. Got to be kind of careful though with not cracking these open. Right, one. Using a rawhide mallet on a triplet, but I'm going to put these on a ring sizer next, which will give us both a perfect round ring and a perfectly flat ring at the same time. If we use the reduction die, what we want. Gives more of a machine-made look than a wonky handmade feel. Brilliant. Right, ring stick and ring stretcher. Let's just put that to one side. I've got a Durston upright ring stretcher here. This wooden block's coming in pretty handy for doing these things. Let me just make sure that's in shot. Ring stick. See what size we've got on these at the moment. Slightly undersized actually. They are, yeah, they're satisfied. I'll give you a close up of this ring. So a bit under a size S. They're probably the right amount of metal for exactly a size S, but they're slightly wonky, so we can just, I'm just going to size that up So it's fraction over size S actually. And then we'll take it down. This isn't my favourite reduction die in this thing, but we'll give it a go. Further reduction die in the Italian, our Italian OMO ring structure. But hey, right, is that in shot? I forgot to check. No. Okay, I checked. There we go. Oh. Get the lamp out of the way. Right, so pretty simple to use. You've kind of got to try and make sure that the joint, ideally, look, I don't know if you can see there. You want to try and make sure that the joint is not on one of the splines, so it's got more chance of splitting one of the seams. What I've also seen people do with these do, where these have the sections, they do have a habit of marking the inside of bigger rings. Doesn't really notice on these halos. What I've seen the people do that make the coin rings to stop the marking is put a plastic carrier bag over the top of these, because they want the detail of their coins to come out. If you watch the coin people make rings, where they turn coins into rings, yeah, they put a plastic bag, a relatively thick one, over the top of this, and then they size it, which evens out the stretch. I've actually got a really old German, really high quality hydraulic ring stretching machine, and that actually comes with Delrin plastic rings that you put over all of the dies. And that's actually got the proper, like, because I don't really use this for large rings, I use the OMO one, which has got dies. I'll show you quickly the die. I mean, look, these are good, but these are cool, but like, these are the dies from the one I use, and they're slightly less tapered, so you get a slightly more even stretch, and these are just slightly better finished than, it's not a Durston, they're all, it doesn't matter which brand you make, Durston are probably the better ones. I don't know whether they could round these off slightly or not, or whether I could, where you could. Maybe I'll try and buy a knackered old one that's been well used. It's just because they just do. You get a line there. You don't get the line with these. These are, they're not intentionally rounded off. Maybe it's just because of the lack of taper. I don't know. These just don't mark the inside of rings anywhere near like these style. And then these are the German. I managed to find an Elmer Ringcraft on eBay. I didn't even pay that much money for it. They were really expensive back in the day. I paid like 100 and something. I think I was the only person to bid on it, probably the only person who knew what it was. It was like 130 quid or something like that. And it came with all these dies and all these plastic bits, and some of the rubber bits on it are perished. So I haven't really set it up and used it because it's so old. It's probably from the 1980s or 1990s. Probably 1990s, and some of the rubber rings that hold. Anyway, it's another story, but yeah, there's loads of different versions of this. I've got so many ring stretchers. All useful for different things. These are probably the best starting point. These are reversible. So it's going to be that one. It's quite sharp. Yeah, I must admit I prefer the Italian reduction plate. We'll give this a go. Do you know what? No, I'm not going to give it a go because I don't want to remake the ring. I'm going to go and get the OMO one. Let's get the Italian. Let's get involved with the Italian one. I do use this for stretching these 1mm up. It's far easier to stretch them up. If I stretch them down, we need the Italian model. Yeah, I use that Durster one for stretching up the windmills, but I use this for sizing them down. This plate's better. You can't have too many tools. The edges are slightly better finished, so it just they slide in slightly better. Let's see what size we have there. Right, are they both in shot?
Yeah, kind of.
See, I use this one for going down. Where did I put the ring? Is that the ring there? Oh, it's on the ring stick. And this one for going up. So we're now slightly undersized, but it's also slightly wonky. Right, that is it. Perfect. Right, that's one done. So where are we with this? This is a process I do with pretty much all the rings, just to make sure that they're perfect size-wise. So they will all go, like, even whatever profile and thickness, and will go up and down, and just to get them perfectly round and perfectly flat. That joint on that's so dodgy. So that one's slightly over already. Okay, so there we have 6 size S's. I'll give you a little close up of those. 6 size S 1mm halos. So now we need to start assembling them, which means cutting 2 of it and interlocking them. There is, you do need to make sure you interlock them the correct, there is an incorrect way to do it. Right, let's get rid of this. And this. You hear that hypercar outside? That's I think that's a McLaren. Might be a Ferrari. There's a lot of McLarens around here at the moment. I think it's a McLaren. You can hear it. You'll probably hear it move in a minute. There's a lot of money around here. No, it's not my McLaren. How much is a McLaren these days? Minimum 100 grand, aren't they? Right. So, soldering. Right, that one I'm going to, with these, because I didn't solder them properly, I'm going to find the 2 best ones, the best of the bunch that I can't clearly see the joint. Probably that one. And I just need to flow the solder. So these 4 we're going to cut. These 2 I'm just going to, let's turn the music down. Yeah, so these 2, I'm going to flow the solder just so that the joints are perfect. I don't need any extra solder, I just need to get it sorted out, and then we'll start cutting and adding rings. I probably need to adjust that camera, don't I? Yeah. No, we've not got a ring stitcher. There we go. Right, now we're going to cut rings. Is there an 8/0 in? Yeah, there's an 8/0 in that. I'll just do these one at a time. I can vaguely, no, well, this one I can quite clearly see where we need to cut, where the seam is. Just go easy on these because you don't really want to. You can twerk, if you get the blade cut, you can tweak them out of being round. Wouldn't believe how long it takes an 8/0 saw blade cut for a 1mm, would you? Let's just clean this up. From that ring sizing process as well, there's from the sizing up, sizing down, there's quite a bit of tension in the ring, so they're just, which helps them retain their shape. If they were fully annealed, just doing that would bend them a bit out of whack. But they're under quite a bit of tension from the work hardened effectively from upping and downing, which is a good thing in this instance. Soldering now fully annealed at the moment. It's enough to hold it in shape while we get it soldered up. You just want to make sure you've got the solder joint of the other ring sort of not in contact with the ring, just in case. Don't want to weld the whole thing together. Right, let's find a piece of solder. Right, let's cut another ring, and that should have cooled down by the cut the next one. It's not so clear where the joint in this one is. Right, I'm just using a skating file, probably a cut 6 barrette. This was old, so it's thinner now, finer. Right, you have to get these on the right way. There's you have to make sure they're interlocking, or you'll just end up with like a magician's ring sort of setup. Is that cool enough? Yeah. Yeah, you need all of them interlocking. soldering off of that. There it do. Right, so there we have one done. Just obviously it needs a lot of pickling there to get all of the flux off. Still hot, get it in the pickle, and start the next one. Assembling the next one, and by the time this one's done, that'll be clean. I need more coffee. The joint on this one, oh yeah, it's really good. I kind of forgot for a moment there that was the good one. I was looking for where I saw it. Why can't I see where I saw it? Oh yeah, I flowed the solder around, didn't I? So you couldn't see it. This one I can see. You've got to be careful with these when you get to the very end, because that's when it has a habit of catching and pulling them out of whack. Just clean up the joint a little bit with a barrette file. Right, flux and solder. Cool. Right, so the next one. a little bit more. Right, let's get that previous one out. These will need polishing now. Then they can go into, yeah, that's it. They just need, I'll probably satinise the joints a little bit, satin wheel on the joints on the polish machine. Barrel or electromagum. Then a little bit of polish. Should be good to go. The one for stock, I won't final finish because they actually store better and less prone to tarnishing with the machined finish rather than the. You're better off doing that finish before, because you have to do it again anyway. Because it seems to, the machine finish seems to delay the onset of tarnish compared to polishing them on up. Whether it's just because it's less noticeable or not, I don't know. No idea. Should know. Right, there we go. There we have a, let's put it on the ring stick. Should be just under a P on the ring stick, which will mean it will fit someone with a size P finger. But there is a way these roll. So if we put on the ring stick, we've always got to roll them. There's a way they roll and they interlock, and there's a way they roll and they don't interlock perfectly. So yeah, there we are. Go on. Yeah, they sort of roll on, and you can get them to interlock in different ways, and they come up slightly, so depending on how you interlock them, they can become bigger or smaller. I think people like to fiddle with them. They're a sort of fiddle ring, aren't they? Put it on the finger. So yeah, they roll over the knuckles much more freely than a 3mm wide band ring would, because they roll. Right, let's turn that down a bit. Off. I need some more coffee, but I'm going to put that back in the pickle for a little bit longer before it goes in the polishing machine. Just get the other one out. So that is how we make, that's how we construct the 1mm halo Russian wedding rings, or Trinity rings, depending on where you buy them. And I'm going to polish those up this afternoon. One's going to a customer, one's going in stock. So the one that's in stock, there'll be another live stream later, as scheduled. So if you check out the next live stream, I'll show you the ring, the one ring we've got left, polished. So thanks for watching. Hope you found this useful. As I said at the start, the key, the rule of thumb is 3 sizes bigger. One of the finished rings. I think that's a size G. What would that have been? G? J? 3 J's? Soldered, welded. There's 3 J's interlocking and you end up with a G. God, look, we nearly made an hour. Can I talk nonsense for next? No. Toodles.